Hi everyone, this video is going to cover section 4.3, which is on graphing horizontal and vertical lines. And so what we hope to be able to do at the end of this video is to be able to graph a horizontal or vertical line given an equation, or if we're given a graph, be able to write the equation of the line. So let's look at some examples here. So the first one, I have my coordinate plane, and you can see that I have this line that I'm highlighting in blue. And that's what we call a horizontal line. You can think of the horizon to help you remember. And so in the coordinate plane, the graph of y equals b is a horizontal line. Now, when we say y equals b, b is just a number. So an example of a horizontal line, or the equation of a horizontal line, would be y equals 3 or y equals -2. So when we see y equals, we think of a horizontal line. And sometimes you'll hear math teachers talking about, we have this term, well, I'll get to that in a minute. Well, let's keep going here. So now in the coordinate plane, now I have a vertical line here. And again, if you have trouble remembering vertical and horizontal, I think of vertical as like the vertebrae in my spine. It goes straight up and down. So now in the coordinate plane, the graph of x equals a is a vertical line. And again, a is just a number. So we could have x equals -1 or x equals 3. Those are the equations of our vertical lines. So now, back to what I was saying before. A lot of times you'll hear math teachers say something called Vux Hoy. And so let's see, we've got Vux Hoy. And we use this to remember vertical and horizontal lines. And so here's how it goes. In here, this V is for vertical. And the x, I think of as x equals. So it helps me remember the equation. I know vertical lines, the equation is x equals. Now with Hoy, that's a horizontal line. And I remember that the equation is y equals. So horizontal lines have an equation of y equals. So some people find that helpful and some people don't, but it's something that might help you remember. So let's look at a couple of examples practicing graphing these equations. So my first one, example 1, says graph the equation y equals -3. Well, now I'm thinking, okay, if I have y, right, that was my Hoy. And so I know this is a horizontal line. And so this horizontal line is going to intersect the y-axis where y is -3. So I find -3 on my y-axis, and then I'm just going to draw the horizontal line through that point. So that would be my equation, or my line with equation y equals -3. Now, something I want to point out, I'm just going to pick out a couple of points on this line. So this coordinate would be -3, -3. I'll pick this one I had here was 0, -3. And then if I pick this point, I've got a point for -3. What I want you to notice is that if I have my equation y equals -3, the y coordinate is always -3. Just like that rule, you can think of this as a rule, and what that's saying is, hey, my y-coordinate always has to be -3. Now, if I look at x equals 2, right, this is our Vux. So I know V stands for vertical, so I have a vertical line. And this line is going to intersect the x-axis where x is 2. And I draw a vertical line through that point. Now again, if I were to pick some points off of my graph, let's say I have the ordered pair 2, 0. I'll pick one here is 3. Oh, excuse me. Or right 2, up 3. And then let's do this one. So I would go right 2, down 4. Again, like my rule, my equation is really a rule here, and it says that my x-coordinate see, I'm running off the screen a bit here. My x-coordinate is always 2. So that's graphing those types of lines. So now on the other page, we have kind of the opposite. So here, I've got this line here. Right away, looking at that line, I know that's a vertical line. So I know my equation, again, vertical is my vux, so it's x equals, and it looks like I intersect the x-axis where x equals 4. So that's my equation for my line. Now, if I were struggling, maybe I would pick a couple points on that line, right? And so I'm just going to draw in a few here. So I have the points, it looks like 4, 3, 4, 1, and then 4, -2. And so when I look at those points, I notice that all 3 points have an x-coordinate of 4. So that tells me that x has to be equal to 4. That's my rule or my equation for that graph. So a couple different ways of looking at that. Now over here, this is my line in blue. That is a horizontal line, so that's my HOI. So I know that line is going to be y equals, and it intersects the y-axis, where y is -2. Again, if I weren't sure, I could just pick 3 points on that line, any 3 points. And so I've got -3, -2, 0, -2, looks like 2, -2. And so if I look at those 3 points, I notice my y-coordinate is always -2, so my equation is y equals -2. All right, one last type of problem here. So now we've graphed a line given an equation. We've written the equation of the line if we have a graph. Now we just have an ordered pair, and what we want to do is write the equation for the vertical and horizontal line that passes through each point. So let's think about this. If I were going to write, I'm going to do this in color here. Let's write our vertical line. We said that vertical was vux. Right, I'm going to write that under here. So that was my v, and so my vertical line looks like x equals. So when I go to write this equation, if I'm writing the vertical line, I want to look at the x-coordinate. So I'm going to have x equals -7. On the other hand, if I'm wanting the horizontal, that's my HOI. So now I see I'm y equals, so I'm interested in my y-coordinate, which is 1. Let me refocus this. Okay, so let's try another one. Vertical. Okay, by now I know vertical is x equals, so if I pull the x-coordinate, I have x equals 2. And for horizontal, I know is y equals, and so I'm going to pull that y-coordinate. It's y equals -3. And just to show you guys really quick, here's what we're looking at. I'm going to draw a quick coordinate plane here. My point was 2, negative 3. So when we wanted the vertical line through that point, that's the line that goes up and down. So there's our x equals 2. My horizontal line, the one that goes kind of left to right, is this line here. That's what we're talking about. And those two lines intersect at the point 2, negative 3. So go ahead and pause the video and try the last one here. So now, again, it works just the same here. In this case, my vertical line, still interested in the x-coordinate. So I have x equals 0. And for horizontal, I'm interested in my y-coordinate, and I get y equals 5. All right. Now that you've checked that one, again, I'd recommend pausing here and maybe try to do these last few problems on your own. And then once you've tried them, go ahead and click play, and we'll kind of go through here. Okay, so for number 1 with Vux Hoy, right, what we're really concerned with is, do we know that the V is for vertical line? And the x is, we go x equals. Our equation is x equals. Hoy, our h is horizontal. And the y, our equation is y equals. So it just helps us remember what those equations look like. For number 2, if I want x equals negative 3, I know that x equals, this is going to be a vertical line. So along the x-axis, I find negative 3. And again, we're graphing lines here, so I don't want this point. I want the vertical line that goes through that point. Then last but not least, the equation for the vertical and horizontal lines through 2, 4. Remember, for vertical, we are concerned with the x-coordinate. So I look here, my x-coordinate is 2. For my horizontal line, I want the y-coordinate, so my equation is y equals 4. So that's everything for section 4.3. So you can go ahead and try that homework now.